Hey everyone, I'm Zenith Priest, and welcome to my introduction for Vital Strength of the Earth, where I will give you insight into the nature of the spirit and show you how to drive off the invaders by turn 5. Looking at the overview panel, we can tell this spirit focuses on defense while offering very little in the other areas. The playstyle highlights a strong spirit that has a hard time adapting to change. As such, learning new powers can be a painful task. Our special rule gives us Earth's vitality, granting us a small amount of defense for each sacred site we've established. Vital Strength of the Earth is one of the few spirits where we'll always be able to add a presence no matter which growth option we choose, though the range will vary. As you can see, Reclaiming gives us a range of 2. If we decide to gain a power, our range is limited to where we already have presence, while gaining energy lets us reach any adjacent land. Our growth track reveals a decent energy progression, but is balanced with a difficulty gaining card plays. No matter how hard we try, we can only start playing a single power. That limitation can be mitigated somewhat once we start activating our innate power, Gift of Strength. It allows us to repeat a power of varying cost depending on which tier we've unlocked. For our unique powers, a Year of Perfect Stillness will completely stall the invaders from performing any action on the target land. Really useful mid to late game when you can potentially stop 2, sometimes even 3 actions. If you're finding yourself overwhelmed, this can give you the pause you need to recover. Guard the Healing Land removes a blight and adds 4 defense to the target land. Whether these effects are used separately, together, or in conjunction with Earth's Vitality, which would grant a total of 7 defense, this power does its job well when needed. Just remember to have a sacred site nearby. Draw of the Fruitful Earth is this spirit's workhorse, both because of its low cost and the ability to stop up to 2 builds while also potentially setting up a nice counterattack. Rituals of Destruction does some damage in a land with Dahan, plus bonus damage and some fear if there are 3 or more Dahan. Using rituals in the title seems appropriate because there will usually need to be some amount of preparation before this power can see its full potential. Fortunately, this power and Draw of the Fruitful Earth become a powerhouse when played together, as they will trigger our innate power, allowing us to use Draw of the Fruitful Earth twice, stopping builds and bringing enough Dahan together to trigger the higher effect on Rituals of Destruction. This power also has limited range from a sacred site, which we'll need to consider when placing our presence. And with that, let's get started with the demo game. As a low complexity spirit, I'll be using the power progression deck and disabling the branch and claw expansion to simplify our decisions during play. Alright, let's begin. Turn 1. The invaders have explored into the mountains. We already have a sacred site on the higher mountain, but once they build, there won't be enough defense without extra help. The lower mountain can be defended if we commit presence there for the next 2 turns. These are both doable, and for our single play, Draw of the Fruitful Earth can stop the next explorers from building for everything except the sands. So that's our plan, placing a presence in the lower mountain and waiting to see where they explore. As we wait, note that for anything except jungles, in addition to stopping at least 1 build, we'll also be able to gather some Dahan for a counterattack in the higher mountain. With the jungle, however, it's more important to stop both builds than it is to destroy the upper city. If we could clear everything in the higher mountain, then maybe it would be worth considering. This time, they did explore into the jungles, so with Draw the Fruitful Earth, we'll gather both explorers into the lower wetlands, along with the Dahan from Land 6. This puts 3 Dahan in that land, setting us up for potential Rituals of Destruction. Turn 2. By freeing the jungle, we've created an opportunity to gain a power without much risk, as long as we remember to protect our mountains. If you're not using the power progression, I'd strongly lean towards a major power. This spirit doesn't see many chances for gaining powers, so make the most of the opportunity. If you have need to play 2 cards, or are against forgetting your unique power so early, you could also opt for a minor power. Since we are using the power progression, we reveal Rouse the Trees and Stones. causing 2 damage in a non-blighted land and pushing an explorer out. Revealing our second card play, we place our presence to protect our lower mountain. Choose Guard the Healing Land to protect the higher mountain, and Rouse the Trees and Stones to stop one of the next explorers. As an aside, if the invaders had explored into the sands, we would need to reclaim to use Draw of the Fruitful Earth again, this time pairing with Rituals of Destruction in order to keep those lands safe. Looks like they've explored into the wetlands, so we use our slow power to destroy the explorer in land 8 before moving on. Turn 3. We only have the one wetland threat, and it's already in a prime position for Rituals of Destruction. While we could gain another power card here, we'd just be searching for a way to take out the sands and mountains, and we already have the means to do that, while also guaranteeing no new buildings crop up. And so, let's reclaim our cards, and because we'll need one more energy to play 2 cards, we take our presence from the energy track and place it in the wetlands. This allows us to protect the wetlands if we decide to gather the next wave of explorers there. Playing Rituals of Destruction and Draw of the Fruitful Earth also unlocks our innate power. If playing with allies, you can consider them for this power, but more often you'll need it yourself to get Dahan positioned for your rituals. With nothing to ravage, we wait for the wetlands to build and see where they explore next. Looks like it's the mountains again, which means that once we've destroyed the wetlands invaders, we can position the Dahan into the upper mountain, setting up another rituals there before we proceed. Turn 4. With the Dahan in a solid position, we just need to take out the buildings currently in the higher mountain. Fortunately, we're just a reclaim away from ensuring that happens. Our presence will still need to come from the energy track to give us enough to play 2 cards, and placing it here in land 5 solidifies our reach with sacred sites. This time, one use of Draw of the Fruitful Earth should be sufficient to keep any explorers from building further, so we can look to grant an ally our gift of strength. Our Earned Fear card, Belief Takes Root, could help if the invaders were ravaging, but instead we'll just wait for our turn while they build in the mountains and send another wave of explorers. Before we deal with the new explorers, let's just take a moment and destroy the buildings here in the higher mountain. With the coastal exploration, we'll gather the jungle invader into the sands and do a quick check to make sure that our lower mountain is still okay. We also gather a Dahan into the sands to get a head start for next turn. Since we have a pretty good handle on this island, it didn't really matter where the invaders show up, we still use Draw of the Fruitful Earth to gather them anywhere that won't build or overload the mountains. The only exception is the lower sands, as building there we can still deal with. Turn 5. With the mountains being able to take care of themselves, our only concern is with the coastal sands. Once more, we reclaim to ready our Rituals of Destruction and utilize Draw of the Fruitful Earth to gather our Dahan into place. If your allies are still struggling, you can look to grant them Gift of Strength, or use it yourself to gather the next wave of explorers on their board and stop further building there. Dahan on their guard would have helped if we had accidentally overreached in the mountains, but with the help of Earth's Vitality, the Dahan are able to clear those mountains on their own. This leaves only the sands to build in, which we'll be taken care of in just a moment. Some final thoughts on vital strength of the Earth. Look ahead for places to defend. This allows more options when gathering explorers with Draw of the Fruitful Earth. Try to think of the Dahan in 2 groups of 3 and protect them fiercely. While losing a Dahan won't wreck the game, it can make it much more difficult to move them around the board. Since reclaiming gives you good range for placing presents, consider your allies once you've established some territory with your sacred sites. Vital Strength of the Earth is one of the few spirits you could play well without ever having to gain powers. Reclaiming to play the same cards may not be flashy or exciting, but it certainly gets the job done. Thinking outside your combo does have its uses, so look for space to grab that extra power or get creative when presented with a novel situation. Alright everyone, that's all I've got this time. Hope you gained some insight, and good luck in your next games.